Okay, so the time is 6:44. We call the meeting to order. And I'll go through the attendance. I'm here. Mr. Larry Borman is with a friend who's diagnosed with terminal cancer. He's absent. Mario Chavez was not feeling well. Gary Cardenas is with his mother-in-law who's in a hospice. Julie, you're here. Pedro, you're here. Martha, you're here. Lourdes, I don't know, did she reach out to you, Jonathan?
No.
I don't remember. I'll have to look. She told me she wasn't going to make it, but I don't remember why. So I'll put a question mark. William, you're here. And Nicole, you're here. Okay, very good. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which is over there by the television.
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll observe a short moment of silence in lieu of prayer. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Thank you. Any public comments?
Well, we spoke with the people and the Jeeps, and we might, tomorrow we'll have exactly the amount, and if they're gonna try to give us at least 15,
Okay.
and if not, maybe 10.
Okay.
Anyway,
We'll take what we can get. Thank you very much.
Also,
15 gigs
yes,
from
well, they give us 23 last year.
This is the same
The
group
same
that,
group.
we'll get to that part actually,
Yes.
because we have that further on the agenda. But the public comments, Larry Borman, who is not here, sent this in and asked that it be read in public comment. So it has something to do with the funding the reindeer run and how we fund what we're going to use to fund the monies with.
Oh, good.
And he says, good evening. I am hoping the Veterans Committee will consider postponing the idea of funding any outside organizations or charity at this time. This will give us more time to look into alternative ways to benefit our military veterans. We may also consider combining future proceeds, contributions, and other revenues in the form of a capital development, which we didn't really go into detail, but basically saving our money so we could use it for a big project down the road. And rather than use a larger sum may be used to fund larger projects that will benefit our veterans here in Miami Lakes, as opposed to donating to a third party. We will remain consistent in our support of veterans. So that was his public comments.
Thank you.
Then we have to review, order of business. If you've had the opportunity to look at the agenda, if you would, starting on page 6 through page 8. That's the agenda, and then the minutes are attached behind it. But if you have any additions or deferrals or deletions, let me know. We'll just write them in.
I looked at them online.
If not, then we can always take it up when we get to it. But at this time, there are not any. And then review and adopt the minutes from April of 2022 and September of 2022. And I believe, Jonathan, you noted that there was an error in the April minutes,
Right.
insofar as we.
I've corrected it.
Oh, you
already. You guys can essentially just vote to adopt.
Okay.
the
So
April
in essence, there was the absences were not correctly noted. And so Jonathan took the initiative and went ahead and corrected our minutes. And now we just have to approve the revised April 2022 minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the
Second.
revised April 22 minutes.
Second,
Okay, so wait a minute. Sorry. All in favor?
yes, sir, yes, yeah.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, any opposed? No? Okay, so the minutes have been approved. And then the next set of minutes are the September 11th minutes. And although these also have not been corrected. So I would recommend that we make the change because Pedro and Nicole both were absent as a result of illness, although Mario hasn't reflected here as being absent without a reason. So I'll change that to, and then Jonathan, can I provide these to you, the corrected copy later this week?
That's fine.
Okay. So and with those changes in mind, the Pedro and Nicole, are there any other things that we need to address with these minutes? If not, then make a motion to accept the minutes as they are.
A second?
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Right, so those minutes have been approved as well. Okay, the 9/11 event, old business, 7A. So it went very well. I think many of us have met with the subcommittee meetings since then, but the Barbara Goldman group was really fantastic with putting flags up and taking them down. They,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, they were in there in about 2 hours. They had all the flags rolled up in boxes. We were on our way home, and years before it had taken us, all day
All
until
day.
nightfall. So big shout out to Mrs. Anna Soto and Barbara Goldman High School. And also Kai's Realty had sent over a number. They had, I think, 30 some odd realtors that came out and planted flags as well. So it was really, and there was a few other smattering of Boy Scouts, Sea Scouts. What's the other high school? Matter Lakes were there as well. So really a lot of community involvement, which was fantastic.
And the fact that we put it together on a Saturday made a big difference in
Right.
people being available.
And that was Bill's point for next year, because 9/11 won't
9/11 will fall on Monday next
on a
year.
Monday. And so the consideration is, do we want to move it to,
To Sunday.
Saturday or Sunday? Still appreciating the significance of the event, but do we have to have it on 9/11? Or not? And the thought might be not, but, we can
There's a
take
lot
that
of
up.
other 9/11 ceremonies that are done not
Yeah.
specifically
No, I thought it was a
on
good
9/11.
Because this one was very well attended
Yes.
because it was a Sunday.
Yes.
If we had had it on any other day, perhaps
If it's
not.
on a weekday, you're not going to get that kind of participation.
Agreed. Yeah, but anyway, so that was something that we keep in mind for next year. And then the thank you notes, Jonathan, you had sent me something, I know, via email,
I sent you last year's,
what we wrote up.
what was written up.
Okay.
I assume we didn't want to use the same.
No, not exactly, but just,
So I'm just waiting for you to
okay,
get this nice little spruced up note. I already have the letterhead. I have the, it'll be ready to go.
okay. And then you'll take all the names and plug them in? That seems a bit tedious.
Well, I mean, I have the list.
I mean, that's what we did
Volunteer,
last
so-
year, was we took them and, but it just seems like a lot, unless maybe you do it from some type of an Excel spreadsheet. Just
Yeah.
kind of,
You're gonna merge it, right?
It's, what?
You're gonna mail merge it, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
I already have the mail merge from.
Okay.
when I sent out the
All right.
email,
So you just need the note, and do you remember when you sent that?
That email to you,
Yeah, like, I'll look.
at least between September 11th and now.
Okay.
I'll have to take through my outbox. I'll let you know.
Would anybody have an interest in taking that on as a, to do and then sending it to Jonathan? It just says, thank you so much for your participation, the town and the country appreciates your, dedication to, the people to that day, and, thank you for your.
So you're just looking
service.
for a short note.
Yeah.
Oh, it could be
Yeah.
short,
I'll
it's
Okay.
whatever you think encapsulates.
Yeah.
The thing,
All right. And then it's going to be signed by the mayor.
right, like what we did last
Yeah,
year.
last year.
Thank you for your patriotism and your assistance.
Yeah. Right, yeah, just, you really, it was great. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Bill, you'll do that.
I got it.
Thank you.
And then first responders were like, really, they received it so well, and they were very, very thankful.
Yeah.
Oh, they were really,
touched them.
yeah, they were very, it was really very well done, I
Yeah.
thought, yeah. And this was the third year we've done it. I thought by far this was the best, yeah, in my opinion. Okay, Veterans Monument, Jonathan, do you have any updates? I know we caught Isle on the way out.
I was working on it. Yeah, she has a lot of committee work, a lot of,
Okay.
She's busy.
Yeah, she said she was gonna look to pass it off to somebody because she said she hasn't had the opportunity to do anything.
might be
right
able
yet.
to work that
Yeah.
out. there's it's a lot of stuff, a lot of working parts, you know, the last year's budget, you know.
And I just don't want, I mean, we want to make sure that we capture our monies this year, then have some accounting of, you know, where we were, because we don't want to wait until this gets deducted and find out we have, you know, we owe $1,000 or we have $1,000 left over. So it'd be nice to, you know, get some feedback ahead of time, but I think we have all these other items pending, so we're not able to close the books. But would you have an interest in doing it, or it really depends on who she wants to give it to?
If it makes sense, I know she did mention there's a certain like level of understanding of the process that needs to take place, but
Okay,
if it makes sense.
all right. So you guys will get back with us.
Right, it's being worked on. It's not just.
And then remember, we talked about the plaque wording,
Yeah.
which obviously, I suppose we can put this off. We don't need to decide this evening. I put a couple examples of things that we had discussed at the top of page 7, which were not, you know, not particularly tied to, but just, you know, whether or not freedom is never free. I don't know if that sounds too cliche-ish, but, you know, because it's so often used. But, you know, the town of Miami, they're trying to capture the idea of Miami Lakes and the citizenry supporting, you know, veterans for their service and sacrifice. And Larry was at odds with it being a battlefield monument honoring dead. And he said, hey, you know, you can't really say thank you, and you're, you know, without recognizing that it's supposed to be people who have given the ultimate sacrifice. So in that regard, I thought we could capture, you know, it's not just, you know, thanking dead people, you know, dead service members, but to say thank you all, and say, you know, for your service.
Thank them, it memorializes them.
I mean, that's a truism. You're right. But do we, what do we put as far as the words of acknowledgement, rather than just have an empty thing and let people draw from it what they will, you know, some nod saying, you know, thank you, we appreciate you, you know.
Well, if you took this first one, freedom is never free, the town of Miami Lakes, state of Florida, citizens of the United States, memorialize our veterans who have made the ultimate sacrifice.
Memorialize our veterans for their sacrifice.
For their sacrifice.
Yeah. And then the other one, again, I mean, I just, you know, kind of get this discussion started, because I was hoping that people, you know, that you guys would like say, hey, you know, I kind of thought about it, and, you know, this maybe something like this would sound good, you know, based on, you know, things that you've seen, or, you know, ceremonies you've attended, and just translate it to, you know, this sentiment. But it's heartfelt gratitude for your sacrifices, you know.
Do you want this monument to make the people feel that are visiting it, to recognize and understand why, and think of the veterans, right? Like, the veterans aren't like gonna be there to see that, but it's mostly for the town to remember why we're here, why we're free.
Yeah. And then
Well, it's why Veterans Park is Veterans Park.
Right, so
Because we memorialize those veterans who have served.
yeah,
maybe something like, because of them, we have this.
yeah, because
Well, that's
Because
the
of them, like,
freedom
because
is
of
never,
veterans, we have this.
freedom is never free. That's,
Just so that it speaks to the people that we're trying to speak to, like, that we're trying to speak to the community. Like, use this as a moment to have the gratitude, to memorialize, and to, you know, I mean, I'm sure plenty of veterans are gonna be appreciative of it, but what
right.
you really try to do is make, you know,
You want
non-veterans
to make the non-veterans realize that they're,
impact them,
yes,
make an impact on it. Yeah,
And-
like I always say, because of them, we have this. That's one of my things.
and
As not being
would,
a veteran,
would that be short and sweet?
part of it. I
Yeah,
think it should be
okay.
a part of it. Like,
Right,
because
how about your freedom is never free?
the sculptor
That makes
said
you think.
mhm.
that we have this. The sculptor said that a lot of times people will use that monument almost as a, like, veterans who have been, you know, especially in Afghanistan, I think it was used largely there, Iraq, you know, to a lesser
Right.
degree, Vietnam. But, you know, they'll actually come and sit there and, you know, be quite moved and
Think
tearful.
about,
Yeah, they kind of use it as a time to reflect, and they said it's not just, you know, kind of throwing the frisbee past it, but they actually, you know, quite, and then a lot of people, they said, will take photographs, you know, kind of with the thing. And what was proposed which I think I talked to most of the people that were on the 9/11, was where where the trees are planted now.
Right.
For the, oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Alexandra. Alexandra is with the Miami Laker. Yeah, I apologize. I had that actually at the beginning.
It's
It just
okay,
occurred
it's
to
okay,
me.
it's fine.
So, but,
She's talked to a bunch of us.
oh,
Very fine with
okay.
that. People know me, it's fine.
But that Jeremy had recommended the trees that we've done the Arbor Day event for those trees that we planted. Actually, making a path, like a asphalt path,
Okay,
or lined with rocks and lighting, and then finish it in a circle around the monument with benches, benches on either side, or
That's-
3, so that you could kind of sit there, and reflect. And his plan is with the arborist was continue to plant trees in that area, because I said, well, you're kind of close to the,
right.
Larry's concern was that, the
Kind
kids,
of close to the playground.
yeah, be too close to the playground, but he said, no, the idea is to continue a wall of trees to kind of separate that. This will be its own kind of little sacred place.
That actually sounds pretty,
I thought it sounded
that
fantastic.
sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't know the location only because of, it is next to the swings and everything, but if you
Yeah.
moved it too far somewhere else, then you might lose a little something too, so. We haven't even ordered the thing yet, so we do have a little bit of time.
Right.
But the town is depending on us to make our recommendation. And I really would like it to be our recommendation, not, one or two of us went out there and said, oh, this looks good. I'd like it to be really like that same sense of community,
A group.
that everybody came out and planted flags, like all of us go out and say, okay, like no kidding, really, here, there. So maybe we could do that at some point, and we could meet there, at some point, and we'll take a look and decide where we want to put it. Does that sound like a
He
plan?
showed you where he.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Why don't we
We'll put that,
plan to meet there?
we'll put it on the agenda. And do we need, there's no sunshine things, or we
No,
need?
I mean-
Oh, my goodness, who is this?
Good afternoon.
man? Undercover, obviously.
This meeting,
Not too undercover.
this meeting is in regards to just the location.
Yeah,
Is
yeah, so we can get a
Jeremy
site
wants-
survey.
Jeremy wants you guys to advise them.
Yeah. He offered a couple of ideas on where they should go, but we don't know where, unless you've been there and taken a look at it. You can look at it on the map, but it's not quite the same.
I think, as private citizens, I think it wouldn't be an issue if you guys went and
Yeah.
scouted it.
All right,
And then when you came to a meeting, that's when you vote on exactly where it could
Okay.
be,
yeah, sounds good. So that more to follow then. Does that sound good?
Okay.
So we'll, as far as the location, we'll plan that out. And then as far as these things, if you could take a look at them, and then we have time, we don't have to rush it. But this is going to be something that's, memorialized for the foreseeable future on a plaque with a granite base. So it'd be nice if, everybody kind of put something in, and maybe we'll take a little bit from everybody's or whatever. Maybe somebody has something that's moving, we'll just go with that. But please, if you would, get them and then send them to me, and then I'll include them so we can vote on them. The Veterans Parade is moving along well. The Grand Marshal nominations are a point of discussion.
Did you see about Lorenzo's
Yeah.
update?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did, I sent them a thing asking for a clarification, because we had received guidance that Bill could not be a nominee, which, to be honest, we all discussed, and we felt that, several people voiced that, as much as we'd like Bill, and as much as he's served as an honored veteran, and that, perhaps having him speak, 2 days before election would be a little bit heavy-handed on our part, and not really in keeping with the spirit of, free and fair elections. If, our guy, the veteran guy got to speak. So we were told he can't, but rather than just say he can't just because it doesn't seem like a good idea, I sought further clarification. Like, okay, we agree that it's probably not the best idea, but just for somebody to say it without having, backing, I felt we needed something from the town. So the town attorney has said he would not recommend it.
Okay. Cool.
But again, what my question for him was, okay, so you wouldn't recommend it, but you're not telling, you're leaving it, I'm taking away from that, you're leaving it to our best judgment. That's what I'm taking, and I trust we will do the proper thing. But I just wanted him to clarify, are you telling us we cannot do it? Or are you saying you would not recommend it? You know, lawyers, I think, are pretty specific
Yes.
in their wording. He said, I wouldn't recommend it. So I think he's given us the latitude. There is no rule that strictly prohibits it. But I just think in a matter of being fair, that it probably wouldn't be the best thing to do. So moving forward, I mean, I think we'll have that discussion at greater length, but
Yeah.
I think we all agree that's probably not the
I
best
think the
thing.
important thing that we're taking away is regardless, excuse me, it's just having more nominations is gonna be.
Right.
So we need more
If
nominations.
you guys know anybody.
Right.
You know anybody that knows anybody.
I know somebody.
Right.
That might- He deserve it.
Thank you.
To me, I think he deserve it. I think he works hard for us.
I'll
So-
send you the nomination.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, all right, so that addresses the grand marshal nominations. I'm gonna move on to the holiday
Well,
run.
I will say just for, we have some motions that we think we should make regarding money. You know, we had some motions not last night, on Tuesday for the parade.
Yeah, we need to approve
Yeah.
those by the.
Yeah, by the
committee
date.
needs to approve.
Yeah, I've got-
Specifically the monetary.
We'll get to
motions.
that.
You know, we have the, you know, deciding not to fold the flags. That is the motion that should.
Oh, that was,
happen.
we already did that.
But there's more important stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that
I
happened.
mean, that was done in committee, our committee. And we just reiterated it again in the subcommittee, but we had already decided that it was not going to be included. We voted on it. And then I think IL said, would you revisit it? Because one of the staff wanted us to revisit it. So we brought it up again, although we had already voted not to have it for,
So you voted in committee to
Yeah,
not have this.
not to have it.
One of that.
that was the last meeting, like the September 11th meeting. Let me see if we can find it.
See if it's in the notes.
I remember being there for that. Maybe that's just-
Yeah, the good thing about, brevity is having, not a lot, but, if you get too brief, then you lose perhaps some detail, but anyway. If we need to, we can go ahead and vote. So I make a motion that we vote on, and what Jonathan is referring to is we had discussed the flag folding.
It is not in the minutes.
Yeah, I didn't see it in the minutes either. So we'll go ahead and include it again. We discussed it in committee. We discussed it in our previous committee meeting and our subcommittee meeting, but that issue is whether or not flat folding the flag, that ceremony. I think there was a couple of reasons why it was, we discussed not having it. One was because the ceremony was quite long and we lost a lot of people. They started wandering off, at the 30-minute mark. And so we said, we need to perhaps scale it down, but more importantly, as I think Bill is, go ahead,
Yeah,
Bill.
more importantly, we suggested that it was more appropriate for a Memorial Day ceremony as opposed to a Veterans Day ceremony. Typically, when you fold the flag, it's folding the flag over a casket and giving someone the flag in a case. We sort of agreed with the idea that the Grand Marshal should get his flag in a case. Okay, but that we wouldn't have a folding ceremony like you would have in a memorial ceremony. So it's probably less appropriate to do it at the Veterans Day parade, more appropriate to do it at the Memorial Day ceremony.
And that was a distinction Bill made when the comment was made that it was inappropriate to do it.
It's not inappropriate ever.
But his comment was, if you're folding a flag, it's never inappropriate. However, recognizing that the tradition is typically observed in a memorial service, and we included a bunch of things in the Veterans Day, service, just because, it's still new at it. And so as we go through, we're seeing things that we can change. So
We
one
want
of
to
them was-
honor live veterans.
yeah, so Veterans Day is, by
Veterans
live
Day.
people, and Memorial Day is to honor those that have passed. So the first motion then would be, if we need to revisit, let's just clarify for the record. I make a motion that we strike the flag folding from the Veterans Day ceremony. That's the motion.
Second,
Okay, let me get this down. Okay, and that's seconded by Pedro. All in favor?
aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, so that's official then for the minutes. The flag folding has been removed. And then the other thing that was done, kind of in the same vein, was we played taps. Because everybody, taps are very moving and you can feel a bit sentimental. But again, we're kind of getting away from the whole purpose of Veterans Day,
Memorial Day.
which is to say, thank you for your service and thank you. Instead, we were kind of memorializing people. So in the spirit of Bill's verbiage, then it's never inappropriate, but perhaps it would be more appropriate to do at a Memorial Day ceremony. So the second,
If we can get like a recording to play of the Armed Forces medley, okay, which is the
Yeah.
Army song, the Navy song, the
Yeah,
Air Force
yeah,
song, and the
yeah.
Marine Corps.
yeah,
If we could get that and play that at the end, that might be, that
Good
that might have
alternative.
the same kind of impact.
yeah, because people recognize, certain, tunes. Yeah. All right.
So I
So,
have a motion to not do taps.
okay, so Judy has made the motion to not do taps. Let me get this here. No taps. And that's seconded by
Second.
Martha.
Martha?
Okay, so this is seconds, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, none opposed. So that motion carries, no taps. And no flag to be for the minutes. And then Jonathan, you said there was something else?
I have a fair amount of motions, because they're all related to money, and this would be better, we'd be better served getting this.
In the holiday
Yeah,
run?
do
or-
that in-
No, this is all for the parade.
Okay,
We might be better served
In the
doing it
budget
now
area.
than.
all right.
So another one is, any discussion on the cases of water? There was an agreement to have 25 cases of water.
We said that we need them, but we don't have anybody to provide them. So last year they were provided by the American Legion. They don't have the availability, so.
I'll bring 25 cases of water. Headquarter Toyota will bring 25 cases of
Okay.
water. Gee.
Jeez.
That's it.
Okay, so headquarters Toyota.
If I have any left, I gave it all to Fort Myers.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
It's upstairs.
So that's there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Judy.
And then we agreed to have voted to spend the full light effects fee, if you remember that,
Yep.
that invoice is $37.95.
Right.
There are some non-negotiables in the budget.
Yeah.
It has to happen, so it'd be a motion to spend that.
Okay, but so that one we would vote on, but the barriers we would not, or?
The barriers, you don't have to vote on it because that has to happen. The non-negotiable part of the light effects is that there's an option to take away some aspects of it, but the committee agreed on Tuesday to not take away from that $37.95. So the barricades, no vote. The light
Yes,
effects,
yeah, so that's why I said, I mean, it seems a bit, I don't know, redundant perhaps, because we're voting on some things, we're not voting on others. Some money's been spent, other money is waiting for our direction, and makes it very difficult from, us managing our funds, because we're told, no, you don't vote on that one, that one's already paid for, but you need to vote on this one, so it's like,
Yeah, this is, the
and the thing is that the detail, the itemization was so detailed that none of us knew if a woofer 360L with a caniper connect was,
very little
we needed
discretion
that
to
or
add.
we didn't need it. So we just said, yeah. So the subcommittee voted, for people that weren't at the meeting, the subcommittee voted to approve the sound effects for the parade at the cost of $3,795. So I would make a motion that the full committee accept the subcommittee's recommendation of spending $3,795. That's the motion.
I second.
Okay, so. Motion. And then Bill seconds, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, none opposed, so that passes.
Can, real quick, I'm sorry, do like a like kind, sponsorship for me for that?
I'll
Like
put the
where?
aisle, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And then what else was revealed at the meeting was that we have $7,000 town budget. It's not our, we didn't ask for the money, this is a town event. We're just helping put it on. So the town has the budget for $7,000. We've received $1,000 from Graham Company. but our expenditures to date are, $7,200. So we have, I think, $800 left in our budget. And some of that was earmarked for other expenses, which we don't know exactly what they are, but staff does.
Right, I've gotten some numbers, that $8,000 is assuming, we don't get a single sponsorship.
Yep.
Afterwards, which, it could happen, but, we're working with certain numbers from last year. I will say just real quick, I was updated that the resolution for this event was rewritten, so it is the veteran event. I know there's like a confusion between if it's the towns and.
Well, only because we didn't budget for it. We asked if we should budget, we should request monies to
Right,
budget
right.
so that we could calculate, how much we're gonna be paying for various things, but we were told, no, the town will maintain the budget.
Right,
It's your event.
there's a budget, but if it goes over, then I believe the conclusion is that, any overages would come from the veterans funds.
No, the only issue with that would be that we didn't decide on the $7,000. It was decided by the town.
Sure.
So for the town to say, well, we think we can spend 7,000, but if we don't, we're gonna pull it out of your pocket. If we went into it, we might say this event needs $9,000 or 10 or 15, counting the police budget, but I don't think paying the police is not coming out. This is separate.
Sure.
So there's a number of line items that were not revealed to us. So then to hold us accountable for the bill when we don't know what we're paying for, and there's a bit of a disconnect there that we might have to resolve.
I'll bring that back. No problem.
I would tend to make a motion that we follow that track so that next year we have a better accounting of what happened this year.
Hmm.
And we can, when next spring, when they ask for the budget, we can give them better information on what they stuck us with when we accepted the parade.
Yeah. Well, part of it too was,
We want the parade.
yeah, well, part of it was that we had concerns with that. We were managing the parade, but we were doing it with outside influence. And it ended up being a little disconcerting because we were trying to manage it in the way that we had planned. And then we were getting outside influence kind of after the fact. And we said, gosh, it'd be nice if we could just manage it from start to finish. But that hasn't happened. We're managing it in part, but still receiving guidance on how to do it.
And that's why I say we should probably make a motion that we follow this carefully and get a good accounting. If you can help us maintain a good accounting of where all these extraneous things are, and it's like, the Light FX thing. If we can take all those things, and that way, come next spring, when it's time to submit our budget, we can,
It's a better idea.
we'll have a better idea, and we can put a line item in there for the Veterans Parade and itemize those things that we know were taken, that we didn't have control over this year.
We
Okay.
sort of almost have that. This is last year's budget, and this is where I derived any
Okay.
sort of non-negotiables that were outlined to me.
Mm.
So I agree with Bill.
The problem would be that it won't pertain to our 2023 budget. So what Jonathan is suggesting is that this parade will come out of our
Oh, yeah.
2023 budget if we don't meet, some earmarks that we were unaware of.
I'll have to re-clarify that point. That was, I think I touched on it yesterday, that the parade budget sits in the communications department. But it is a veterans event, and then any overages comes out. I have to revisit that. That relationship.
For example, if you weren't at the
I see what
meeting,
you're saying.
we started going through it when we found out we had no money to support the event. We were asked about the bleachers, and we said, okay, cancel the bleachers.
Right.
And then we were asked about it, and we said, yeah, cancel that too. Hey, if we have to cancel the shirts, cancel the shirts. We don't want to be on the hook for shirts that we can't afford to pay for. So, and then the adhesive signs, we said, cancel them too, because, we can't afford, we're down to bare bones. We basically spent all our money on barriers and the sound system and the flag.
Well, I did with this list of non-negotiables that I have, I did tally it up in conjunction with that 7,200 that we had already spent, and the overage would be like, I believe it was $200 or so, $200-300. Again, that's with no more sponsorships. It doesn't look as doom and gloom. As it may have
Not
felt.
quite as
It
daunting.
may have felt on Tuesday.
Yeah, it might fall within that $1,000
Right. It could.
additional that we had in terms of sponsorship.
So I have, with these non-negotiables, I do have, it goes up to like 8,200, 82 something. It is a lot, and that's why I don't know if we can condense any of these motions, but. if we want to.
Yeah, what else do you have there, John?
So we have the car magnets. I was informed by Claire's on that those were non-negotiables, car magnets.
And again.
Non-negotiable, yes, or non-negotiable, no?
They were non-negotiable, like they need to.
We're gonna have them.
Yeah, and last year the decals rang up for $449.
Okay.
That was one with one missing, so we said safe was to make a motion
Yeah,
for $500
And,
or up to the cost of the decals.
and the decals now will have any sponsor.
I believe so because that's how it's outlined in the sponsor packet
Okay,
that's gone out.
Well, when they talk about the sponsors having, basically all the sponsors that contribute will get their logo around
on, on
on
the,
the
on the
thing.
magnet,
on the magnet, yeah.
okay.
But again, going back to your previous point, you know,
That
it's
makes
hard,
it hard to use annually
Yeah.
as
But-
opposed to,
well, that and you said, well, this is your guys' event because you, if we don't reach that goal, then it's gonna come out of your other monies. However, you just said that we cannot get rid of the signs, which if it's our event, we would elect to do that perhaps.
Right.
Rather than say you have to have them, you guys are in charge, but not like that. So,
I will say I'm maybe non-negotiable is a pretty loose way to say it. These are.
I mean, it's a
things that I
good
was-
thing that, it's a good
there
thing
are
to
things
have,
that
but
are
if we-
already built in.
These are,
yeah, but if we don't have the money,
right.
and then you're saying that you're on the hook for the money, we have to make tough decisions to get rid of things that we're gonna be responsible to pay for.
Well, we could
At the
decide
end of
to
the
bust
day,
the budget.
at the end of the day, when I say non-negotiable, you guys
And
could
then see what
absolutely
happens.
vote, you guys could absolutely vote to not have the decals.
Yeah.
I was just advised that, this, the car magnets, toilets, stuff like that, these are things that sort of need,
Yeah.
toilets, of course, are different.
Again, I think it's just the budget restrictions, being limited to that amount of money. And then expecting us to provide a quality event that's worth several $1,000s more. With the caveat being that if you do put on the event the way it's supposed to be, and you don't get sponsors, we're gonna take the money out, you're gonna pay the penalty, in other words. That just seems to be a little bit counter to
Well,
the
again,
purpose
that,
of collaborating.
that
and
may have
working.
been a conclusion or a summary that I took.
We can cancel Arbor Day.
Is the, do the magnets have the official's name too, or it's just,
Yeah,
It has the official's name
And
and it
then the
has the
sponsors.
sponsors.
and previously we
can we
had,
do a slide in for the sponsors and for the officials, so we can reuse them next time?
well, that was the idea, but with the argument, the
I
counter was.
suggested that.
No?
The
Okay.
counter was, because every year they're aligned with whoever sponsored that year. So, because that's part of the, in other words, it's a sticker. It's a big adhesive sticker that
Oh, it's
goes
not
on
a
the car.
magnet,
It's not a magnet.
It's not a magnet.
It's that kind of stick. So because that
It's like,
way,
it's like the vinyl wraps.
yeah, that way it'll stick on, they had issues where it wasn't sticking on
Yeah,
people's
we have problems
vehicles. So
with
they have this
magnets.
Yeah,
adhesive.
the aluminum cars. Are what's-
Yeah, right. So it's like an adhesive kind of thing.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
disposable, it seems that what you're talking
Oh,
about.
$500, yeah, worth of disposable.
Just cash is disposable.
All right, so anyway, what do we need to vote on then? Because you just said it's non-negotiable, so
Right, in the
we don't need to
sense that-
vote on anything.
I mean, you could absolutely
Oh, to-
not
to the-
vote.
to the city.
We could absolutely
I
vote
was-
not to have them.
You could vote to not have them. I was advised that these are things
You
that,
said it's, non-negotiable.
right, maybe I was using that phrase a little too loosely, but
Do we force the issue if we say we don't want them?
No, I mean, it would be nice to have them if we can afford
Oh, I
them.
know.
what I would suggest.
Subject to the budget.
Yes, it's subject to the budget, of course.
Right.
So you can vote to have it, and if it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
Well, as long as we're not penalized because it doesn't work
Yeah,
out.
basically,
Right.
that's right. The idea being that if it doesn't work out, we're gonna take it out. We're gonna get it from you one way or the other.
Right.
Then we would say we don't want them then.
We're gonna be able to get the decal sponsor, I mean, that's not that much money.
Yeah, we wouldn't be, but that issue is they only have received one sponsor. Typically, they have about 4 or 5, but this year they have 1 to date.
Don't look at me, I'm busy with my
know.
5K, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be knocking on everybody's door for money right now, I can't do it
Yeah.
twice in
So
2
Jonathan,
months.
how do we proceed then? We don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. Can we table this?
You could, it just.
Because you
the
said
only
that, but according to the director of communications, it's non-negotiable. So we don't really need to vote on it if it's non-negotiable.
Well, it's still an expenditure, and anything money needs to be voted on.
Not if it's non-negotiable,
Sure.
right? Because if you tell me
We
it's
vote on-
non-negotiable,
We only
then,
vote on the things we can choose, right?
right, we vote on the things we can choose, not the things we can't choose.
But again, maybe non-negotiable isn't the most accurate way to say it.
There is an expenditure,
We kind of have to.
Like
have-
barricades are an expense that, we need barricades, those are things we can't, we are not gonna vote to have barricades, those are sort of. That's more of the literal non-negotiable,
Right.
this is, I was advised that these details are needed because,
No, they're a nice touch, I agree,
so.
but if we
Makes
can't
sense.
afford them,
Well, it's all contingent on the budget.
okay, what were there some other items there that needed to be, the money things?
Home Depot items for signage, we sort of briefly touched on that. $50, toilets and special events permit 4 toilets, that's $230 in total. SFM services, that's a literal non-negotiable because it's litter services, and trash pickup.
trash pickup.
Yeah, those were it. And again, all of those fall, into a number it will bring the budget about $200 over that 8,000. So it could be, saved by some more sponsorships, but these were the motions that we were advised to make.
So how much money more we need to be paid for sponsors?
If my math held up, including the light effects, the barricades, the flags that were already purchased, plus all of this, it would be about $8,200. So that's
So we're gonna bust the budget by about $200.
about if my math
Without a
held up,
sponsor.
which I'm
So if we had a sponsor for $500, would be all right?
in theory, yeah.
I have a meeting tomorrow, no, Monday, we can't cross. They might be able to, I might be able to do this. But we're not gonna be giving more than $500.
These are it's all contingent on the budget. And another one, I sort of differentiated these between the non-negotiables. $100 for marketing. I was advised that we wouldn't need that.
You wouldn't need,
No.
you wouldn't need to market it, or?
Well, for paid advertising, just because this is an event that people already know about. The marketing that we're doing right now is specifically for grand marshals and participants.
Right.
And
But in fairness, the subcommittee voted to expend $100 on algorithmic Facebook ads, which apparently reach a different audience. You might remember when Victoria was here, she mentioned, and we had to give money so that she could go outside this algorithm and get more visibility. Because currently, the way it's advertised, it just goes to the people that always get these things. So you're saying that we don't need it?
What we're posting is specifically about parade registrants.
Right.
Not just viewers.
But what about the actual, just advertising for the parade, not advertising and that we have the grand marshal,
Those-
advertising, we want your participation?
Those are in conjunction with the parade register nominations. It sits on our calendar. We have the
So it's already being done.
Veterans Parade event is on our Facebook. That it's on the calendar.
It exists.
It exists.
But we, when Isle was here, she spoke about let's reassess, see how many people we have signed up. Do we know how many people have signed up to date?
Specifically for the registrants. I believe we said 17 on Tuesday, and
Yeah.
as of now,
Mhm.
19. So
Okay. So the subcommittee voted to spend the $100 on advertising to get the word out a little bit further. So being that it was a subcommittee motion, now the full committee has to vote on it. But you're saying, Jonathan, that,
That will bust our budget.
well, we're gonna
It's one
bust
of
our
the
budget,
things
but
we're gonna bust
that you're being advised it's not needed.
that's what Clarisol said. It's sort of a thing that people.
To just bring a motion to cut that back out now, and then we can move on with that one.
I guess.
would-
Well, the only discussion point was providing recommendations because we're in charge and then being told you're not really in charge, you don't need it. And it almost seems like, what's the point of, making any recommendations, just defer to you guys and you tell us what to do. We don't really need to vote on a budget that we don't have any say over, or items that are non-negotiable, or items that we've been told are gonna be, that we don't need.
I will say again, it's all contingent on the budget. You could vote for them. That's more of advising not to spend that money, so you're not worried about going over if it's not needed. You know, they're not saying, it's not so much a strict, no, you're not allowed to spend this money. It's, you know, for the sake of not getting any red line.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion then? We'll kind of move this along, or?
I would make a motion that we defer this, table it, that particular item. And the reason being is because, let's assume for the sake of argument that we don't need it. Okay, if we don't need it and we don't make a motion to spend it, okay, then, and we still get the turnout and participation that we want, then we wouldn't have needed it. However, if we defer it and we say, okay, we think we don't need it, or we've been advised that we don't need it, and we don't get the turnout participation that we want, then it's a matter of record that we didn't do it. And next year, it's a matter of record that we need it.
I think in the subcommittee, what we considered doing was we voted on it, that we would approve the money so that it would be available if we needed it.
Right.
And then if we,
that's what I'm-
This is your only chance
that's what I'm
today, because
saying.
we're not gonna have.
yeah,
time
because we're not
use
going to
it.
come back and meet
That's it.
again.
But
And
that is what I'm trying to allude to with all of these, is that you can
Okay.
vote on every single thing.
Yeah.
As long, but it's contingent on the budget.
Mm.
If the money is there, you can spend
Well,
it.
and it was contingent on Isle's recommendation on whether or not we had, she said, let's go with what we've got. And if we get the prerequisite number of people signing up, then we don't need it. But if we don't, then we'll have the latitude to be able to spend the money. That's what we voted for in the subcommittee.
So that's what we should just. bring
So
it here,
let's
we'll
say,
do
yeah,
that.
so
We'll
the
bring it
motion
out.
would be $100 to advertisement if the numbers suggest that we're not going to get a
I
lot.
second.
Yes.
Seconded by Bill. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's approved.
This is all, it's at the end of this meeting, the big asterisk is contingent on budget. You could vote for all of these things, so we have the motions available and the minutes.
But the only part I don't like is holding us responsible for a budget that, you know, we didn't vote for, we didn't have input on, and then any
I have
overages.
to find out more about how the, you know,
Yeah.
editing the
Yeah.
resolution works and how that,
Yeah,
you know, how
Well-
how you effectively take on an event when a resolution is edited. I don't know what that means,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah, there's two things here. There's one is having a budget that we have no control over. Okay, and that the budget doesn't meet the requirements. So then it comes out of our budget. Okay, and then the other item has to do with how we organize the parade this year and in future years and know what we really need. Okay, because next year we're going to go into the planning process for the parade, and it's like this. Do we need $100 for this external Facebook kind of stuff? Well, I don't know. We used it last year. We can or can't decide, you know, and it came out of our budget. So we don't want it to come out of our budget next year.
Did we use it the prior year?
Any marketing, I don't have that under this 2021.
So that you don't have it, we didn't, or that it could have been used, and it's just not there?
Right.
Oh,
It's sort of
that would be a really good piece of
ambiguous.
information to vote on this right now, right? If we knew last year, which we
Well, the
did.
thing is, if
Not
we
your
vote,
fault.
if we vote on it this year and
I
we
wasn't
use
here.
it, and we have a record of it.
Yeah.
Nice to
The,
know.
the other motion that we voted on in subcommittee was buses. Apparently, some of the schools send their bands over and they don't have the funding on a weekend to pay for buses. So the town has generously, you know, allocated some monies to help pay for the buses. And it was one or two schools that took advantage of it.
Yeah.
And so otherwise, you know, because of their finances, they wouldn't be able to participate. So we found out that one of the buses last year was $250. We thought, wow, that's kind of a lot, you know. So somebody suggests, all right, we will pay up to $100 per bus rather than hitting us with a bill for 1,000, they got the big screen TVs and the mini bar. So the recommendation from the subcommittee was limiting funding to $100 per bus. So the motion would be for schools that are in need, we will provide a $100 reimbursement or offset
Up to, yeah.
up to
Up to
$100 per bus.
$100 for them to get a bus.
Right, yeah, so that's the motion.
I-
Judy
I
seconds,
second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so there we go.
Did we
That's
do
the buses.
Did we do the advertising one too? Did we skip it?
I think we did.
We did. it.
Yeah, we did, the motion, yeah, that
Okay.
was, yep, and so this one is motion on buses. Jonathan, or what else is there?
I would circle back to the car decals.
Yeah.
It's
If it's a non-negotiable, I would say just leave it in with the town
Yes.
budget and the town budget will pick it up,
well,
right?
I need to.
Like you said, like, for example, you said the barricades are an example of a non-negotiable item.
Right.
So we'll just leave the decals in the non-negotiable aisle or column and say, if that's non-negotiable, then we don't need to vote on whether we do it or not.
I would
Yeah.
double vote on that.
Mm,
But you don't need to vote on barricades because barricades have to exist.
yeah. But I mean, the director of the Town of Miami Lakes Communications Department said, we will have those placards, so.
Not that we will have, there's a strong expectation even from the council members,
Okay.
that there's gonna be decals.
But I mean, that would be a town expense. It wouldn't be bore by the Veterans Committee.
I don't,
So that would be the discussion. Does anybody have any?
Is it too
Thoughts?
late to give it back to the council for next week, for them to deal with it? Like if we say we make a motion to put that back to the council to deal with?
Right, and they can vote on it next week.
Yeah, I think we've missed
I
the
think
Too
agenda.
late.
a little rough.
Yeah. The
It's
agenda
gonna be on
was-
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, so.
and nobody's gonna be here on Wednesday or Monday.
Judy, you seconded the buses, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel comfortable voting on something that's non-negotiable. That's just my sense, but I don't know. I would defer to the committee. What do you guys think?
It's tricky. I
It
agree.
is tricky.
Hmm.
It's tricky.
Because if we're told that we are going to have them and it's non-negotiable, as much like the barricades, we're not voting on the barricades because they're non-negotiable as well. So if the placards are non-negotiable, then we don't need to, vote, because my fear would be we vote on that and then we're held accountable for $500 over, which then comes out of our budget when we were told you don't have a say on whether you can do it or not.
Well, from my understanding, motions aren't, you're not signing the invoice right here, right?
Right.
now. You're advising us that when we decide, if we decide to pay for something, that we have the minutes on record that we can attach to an invoice.
Yeah, see, I'm inclined to, okay, they've put us between a rock and a hard spot
Hmm.
in this, and we need the decals. Okay, so let's vote to have the decals. Okay, if we, if the Veterans Committee runs out of money in April, then we don't have a Memorial Day. We don't have a 9/11 day. Okay, so I mean, every impact of where, and excuse me if I'm allowed a line here, but every impact that the town has on our running this event, if it affects what we can do later in the year, that's an issue for the town. Okay, so, and we're operating at their behest. Okay, I mean, they're in charge regardless. Okay, so if they say, well, you need to do this and you need to do this and you need to do this, let's do it. Because if they haven't budgeted us sufficiently to do the other things that we need to do, if we don't get budget things for the 5K, if we don't get budget things for the Arbor Day, because we don't have the money left, that's not our problem. That's their problem.
But I don't think it's viewed that way. We went through,
But I think it has to be viewed that way when it comes to fruition.
but where I'm going with that is for the 9/11 event, last year they were picked up and stored in cardboard boxes and they were all wrinkled. So of the entire week prior to planting them, we were trying to get new flags and address the wrinkled flags that we pulled out of these boxes. So what we ended up doing was ironing 3,000 flags and buying 1,000 more flags so that we could cover our bases. It came time to pick those flags up, this was an unexpected requirement. We didn't realize we would have to do this. It came time to pick them up. We had nowhere to store them because they had been stored inappropriately in cardboard boxes. So we said, okay, now that we went through this, we had to iron 3,000 flags, which was no small feat, and buy 1,000 more flags at $1.25 a piece. We want to get some boxes. We didn't have an item necessarily for boxes, but we had received 4,000 flags as a donation to the town of Miami Lakes, not the Veterans Committee, the town of Miami Lakes. Now we were stuck with 4,000 flags and nowhere to put them. And it took a week and a half of emails. Jonathan in the end went and drove to Home Depot and filled up his car, with his sedan with boxes. And it took, the attorney getting involved. It took the mayor getting involved because
I'm not saying.
but I'm saying that the idea of like, oh no, just leave it to them, they'll take care of it. No, they looked to us and they said, that's on you guys. You didn't plan appropriately. You come up with some boxes.
Yeah.
That was what we were told. So my tendency would be to say, if it's non-negotiable, we don't need to vote on it and we'll keep it in as an item that's required, like the barricades, because we're not voting on the barricades
What we
either.
probably need is we need a motion not to vote on things that are non-negotiable.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, again, I just want to say,
It's not.
I have to go into work tomorrow.
I know, you gotta go in and relay what we're doing.
These motions, maybe I really hope it didn't speak with this non-negotiable because it's not. So
No, it's okay.
I'm just saying, having the motions, we want to spend $500 for the decals. You're not, if the money isn't there, we're not going to force it out of you.
Okay.
These are just so if the money's there, if we get any sponsorship, between now and.
Yeah, because the person who's writing the check can't do it unless the money's there.
Right.
But when we talked about having $7,000 and the barricades, the flag and the sound system was $7,000, we said, oh, okay, so we have no money for shirts, no money for, the other items that we required. So then it was a simple matter of, oh, if we don't have the monies in the subcommittee, we said, well, we can't get the decals. We can't get hand out the little flags. We can't get and these are little items that affect the quality of the presentation. But if we don't have the money, we don't have the money. I mean, we're not going to start pulling out of our pockets to pay for it. So I would go with the notion that if we don't have the money, that we don't buy them. And if the town feels that they're non-negotiable, then they'll use town money, which I think rightfully they should be doing, not kind of going into our limited budget, which by the way got cut in the last rounds of budget cutting. So we're back. We've lost $4,000 or $5,000 already. So to come back and hit us again for another $500, I think that's unfair. So I would motion that we don't vote on this item only because it's being presented as non-negotiable, and we're going to have to pay that bill at the end of the day when it comes due, because they'll go to the minutes and say, look, right there, you voted on them. So if we say we're going to defer the vote, then we can allow the town to buy them out of their funds rather than going from our money.
I know exactly what I 100% know what you mean. This is just, since it's all contingent on the budget, and that's the understanding, they can't, the minutes exist, let's pull the money out. And if it overdrafts the veterans budget by, $10, it's the problem, $100, it's a problem. It's just to have the motions on hand. If we do get a sponsorship and we have $10,000 to play with, and there are no motions that exist for the decals, we can't get decals, although we have the money now. It's really just to have the motion on standby. I know exactly what you mean about you still leaving it up in the air with.
Okay, so the motion would be if there is money available and we don't have to
That's
overdraw
every
our
motion.
budget, then we buy the decals as suggested by the town. So the motion would be we buy the decals if there's money available in the budget to do so. If we have to overdraw our budget and go into the veterans' money for other events, then I would suggest that we don't buy the decals.
Well, what I would do for that one, because I'm actually totally fine with that motion, I would save almost like the final motion if you'd like, any of these budgets that overdraw the veterans account, that, you know, whatever goes over, we're not okay for.
What if there's an excess, let's just say, let's say you do pick up a couple of sponsors, where does that money go? Into the veterans?
No,
It goes in the parade.
it goes,
It
the,
goes into the parade.
it pays for the parade, the donations pay for the parade, and then the monies that weren't spent from the town money go back into the general fund, and then the town utilizes that at their discretion. So
That's interesting. How do you explain
the
it for the sponsors?
the donations
Well, I guess-
offset the town's.
That gets into all the carryover stuff. I don't know, it's advising anything on that.
You know, we were talking about if we get donations, we would like to have the ability to hold on to that money, not have it at the end of the fiscal year roll over and get spent at the whim of the, you know, the budget office on something
There,
else.
yeah, there's a carryover process for.
So that, so there was
donating
talk about
funds.
developing that, and I don't know if it hasn't been the case in years past, but there's talk now that they're gonna implement something like that.
Let me add something, okay, because I was talking yesterday to Ashley, she says sponsorships $1,000. Okay, and I think last year before, I got quite a few sponsors. The only thing is, some of them cannot pay $1,000.
Right, sure.
We will be able, like, for example, I have a meeting with Care Plus. He's interested, I'm gonna ask him. I know he cannot give me $1,000 because I've been using it for 7 years now.
Sure.
But if I ask him for 500, he might come back.
Mm.
So what can we give him, and if we will be able to?
Well,
we'll be able to use
Isle
it?
has a packet
Yeah,
of
I
sponsorship.
couldn't open on my phone. Can you open the packet that has all the events for us? It's got the reindeer, it's got everything in it.
Well,
She was
Pedro,
gonna give me a packet.
yes, she has a sponsor, I can send it to
There's a
you.
$500.
There's a $500 donation.
Donation.
Okay.
Is that the lowest or is there 250?
For the veterans parade, there's. a
So I
$500.
can go
lowest
by
side.
Isle's office and get the packet?
Yeah, aisle is, if you have sponsorship.
I can send it to you,
Martha.
Martha,
Aisle.
on email.
Could you?
It's got all the events. It's got the
Yeah,
5K too.
like
Please
to-
go ahead and get 5K money as well.
Mike, can I give you a phone so you can send it?
Or I was just gonna send it to your emails. if
Okay,
That's
perfect.
okay.
Send me my mail.
I'll send it to everybody's. And it has, you know, she did really very,
Yeah, it's
very
nice.
well done, yeah, very professional looking. But it has a graph that, you know, with this one soldier is under the 500, 2 soldiers for 1,000, you get 2 items. You know, 3 soldiers is 1,500 and you get, you know,
Okay.
so it's
But
clever.
it's a lot of work. We learned about that in our last subcommittee
Yeah.
meeting with 5K. one.
Yeah. So, all right, anyway,
All that out.
Jonathan, so we don't turn this into a marathon meeting. The
We're-
motions that you.
We're 15 minutes over already.
Okay,
No,
so
we're not.
the,
No, we're-
We started late.
we're at 8.
yeah, we have 90 minutes. We learned our lesson some time ago.
Okay.
So the motions that you have, not that we don't want to be obstructionists, we just don't want to get,
No, I
you know,
agree.
we don't want to be on the hook for something that we don't really have a say in. I think that's the biggest concern.
Right.
So were there other items then that we needed to address in a similar fashion?
So from last year, and what I've added to, I guess, our highly suggested, but
Yeah.
maybe I don't say non-negotiable anymore. Again, like Home Depot signs, or Home Depot items for signage, $50. The portable toilets, we need.
How many of those do we have? That was a discussion last year. We had said that we wanted, I think, 3 at the start. But the people.
mentioned 4 earlier.
Yeah,
I meant one.
Somebody mentioned 4.
I don't know. I think,
This is budgeted for 2.
yeah,
2 is 115, and then on top of that, there's a portable toilet special events permit.
Hmm.
Which is 111, which I gave it.
but
It's the same amount as the bathroom. Toilet and the permit.
but the town pays itself for its events?
I don't know what this
Yeah.
permit is for.
Yeah.
I don't know who the permit is from through. I think that's a fair question, but this was what I was.
Okay. Anyway, so that we can, what do you need us to vote on then? Because obviously we want to vote on whatever is going to make the parade successful
Right.
without making ourselves financially liable.
So it's,
Yeah,
right now we have the cases of water that you already took care of. That's under
Judy's got
motion.
those. Thank you again,
That puts money back in.
Judy. Mhm.
I just think
That's a godmother.
There's the,
I'm not
again,
water girl.
the car magnets, or decals. You're, again, this isn't, you're not gonna be, held at. Maybe I don't finish that phrase, but you're not gonna be forced to spend money that you won't have. But with an item like that, it's sort of advised that you know, there sort of needs to be decals on these cars. I know it doesn't sound the most,
No,
Did
it
we already
doesn't.
vote on it?
For me, yeah, we voted that if we had the money for it, we would.
oh, did we?
include
Yeah,
it.
we did.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, I made the motion and Judy,
Yeah.
Judy seconded.
Okay. Then again, the Home Depot items for signage, that's about $50.
Okay.
It's the same as it was last year.
And what was the signage?
This is, I'm assuming, this is, you know, we talked about, you know, poles for the signage, but I know we discussed the sandwich boards that, since we had the sandwich board.
Yeah, right, the sandwich boards.
Legion.
And then Isle suggested that she could get them printed. She had a sign.
Right, I think the printing is gonna be the only cost if we're not gonna worry about signage, so maybe hold off on that $50 Home Depot signage.
Mhm.
And then the toilets and then SFM services.
And then, I'm sorry, the what?
So there's the toilets, which is about $230.
Yep.
Or up to the cost, because we don't know how inflation has affected literally anything. $230 for the toilets and then $300 for the SFM services.
Which is to clean them
The
or?
garbage.
Litter pickup,
Oh, so what is that, like $500?
that's $300 from last year.
So all of these things that are non-negotiable, I mean, just what you've described from last year's budget, what was the budget from last year then? Because you're using.
6,000 and shirts, excuse me, sponsorships came in at 3,500. So they had 9,500 to play with. Shirt sales, 140. So total they had 9,640. They had spent total $10,500. So that was an overage of $900.
And where did that come from, the overage?
Well, they had things like, you know,
Where'd they get the money?
Yeah, where'd they get the money?
Where'd they get
freebie,
the
that
$900?
came directly out of the communications budget.
Is that gonna happen for this then, like that?
No, it doesn't sound like that.
Well,
That's their
I
intention.
believe it's, I think that's another thing with the resolution being changed. That's the only reason I think it would go to you guys, but I have to.
And I get the question would be, because when we talked about this last year, we talked about developing a line item for the budget. Once we took the event on, we asked about, okay, do we also budget for the event? And what we were told was no, the budget would stay within the communications department. It was easier to manage there, but we would run the event.
Oh,
Yeah,
then
so
I'm sure that's
did
in
the
minutes.
communications
I'm sure that's
department
in the
budget
minutes somewhere.
$10,000?
That's the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's finding to be more, because it's, you know, inflation means more money now, so it's finding to be like $11,000, that's what's probably to come in at, if
Yeah,
everything stays the same,
right.
and we get all things we got last time.
Mhm. So we don't need to belabor this, but we don't want to get it, rush it through, or just vote on some things and then find out that we have no money to put on any veterans event because it all went to the town's parade. So what do you recommend how do we proceed then?
I would still go the motions just then.
Okay, so the decals were already, and that was if monies are available, we'll buy them. If not, then we won't. Buy, if not, cancel. Okay. And then the Home Depot motion, you said we'll put that one aside. And then what else were there? There were several motions already. All in favor?
The toilets and the
Oh.
SFM,
Porta potties.
Okay,
porta potties probably.
so that's Porta Johns and the trash pickup. We'll put them into one. Does that sound good? Porta Johns and trash pickup,
Let's see when
$500.
separately really show good next year.
Okay. Porta John. How much was that, Jonathan? Two.
For which one?
The Porta Johns, you said we only needed two?
Yeah, that's what the working assumption that we're gonna use too, because this is the same as last year, they did too, so that 230 is.
And there was no issues? People would say, we're looking for.
Did we talk about that in?
I thought we did. I thought they said that there was two up at the starting thing because people were there for a couple of hours. And then once the parade got going, there wasn't any more along the parade route. I thought somebody suggested putting Porta John over there by the Dunkin' Donuts, somewhere in that area. For a total of three.
I don't know, because when I was looking at my notes, I didn't have any discussion on toilets.
Nothing about
So,
Porta John?
Yeah, all I'm working on is two.
Well, the subcommittee really just provides recommendations
Right.
so that we don't take all our time in the committee doing.
Right,
it.
but if I,
So in other words, we can vote on it here in the committee on the number of porta johns, if there's a sense that we need more than 2. But you guys have been doing it. I think the communications department's been doing the parade for some time. If they're comfortable with 2, we'll go with, we'll defer to their numbers and we'll go with 2. Yeah, so porta johns, the communications department recommends 2. So we'll go with their recommendation. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? No, right, so there's the porta johns, and then the other one was what?
SFM services.
Out of the 2, 1 should be for the handicap. One
Yeah, I think they did that last year.
1-on-1, yes, I remember that together, 1-on-1.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if that was just happenstance, but there was a handicap.
Yeah, we have
one.
2.
Yeah, right. Okay. And then the other one was FMS,
SFM,
SFM,
SFM services,
SFM trash, and that's how much?
300.
Okay. And again, so there's a motion. Judy, you made that motion? Okay, for the trash?
Yeah.
And then Nicole, you seconded?
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. And the trash, has been annotated, as have the porta johns, as have the decals, as have the buses, as have the advertisement, if the numbers are down. And then were there anything else, Jonathan, that we needed to address?
We have, there was one on the shirts, we talked about 120 shirts, $5 above production cost.
Right.
If you guys want to motion, within the limits of the budget, of course, contingent on the budget. Not what this whole entire understanding is.
Okay.
If you guys want to motion to have 120 shirts at $5 above production cost.
Yeah, and so what happened, you guys might remember last meeting, there was a sense that we wouldn't sell them, but everybody was so enamored with the shirts. We said, oh, we probably would be able to sell those. And so communications department agreed that, if you feel like you can sell them, then we'll go ahead and sell them. And instead of having somebody here at the back, we were going to have somebody, walking the parade route, doing it up there rather than at the end when people are ready to go home. So as they're getting ready to to buy their shirts ahead of time. So, and we were going to sell them, last year we didn't really have a number in mind, but this year we said $5 over what they cost.
Right.
So that, the idea is just a kind of a community,
For $10.
yeah, whatever it is, 10, $11.
Will that money go into, protect the
That
budget
money
from
goes
going
into the
over?
budget.
Okay.
And we said 120, does that seem like a reasonable? And I think the 120 we got from, I think, last year.
Yes.
Although we ended up with quite a few extras last year.
Well, you know what happened, I think.
Yeah, right.
The church
Yeah.
was messy and was incorrect.
Yeah,
The shirts this year are beautiful.
So,
yeah, they
That
really
design
did a
is
good job. I don't know who did it, if there's Jacob or Isle, but they did an amazing job.
Yes, it was Jacob.
It was?
It was Jacob.
They're
Yeah, he did
really
a good job.
nice.
Yeah, he did a great
Yeah.
job, yeah.
I was
Really.
very proud of how creative she is.
Yeah,
Good.
okay. So the shirts and a motion is on the floor.
For 120.
Pedro made the motion to buy 120 shirts.
Yes, sir.
And sell them at $5 over cost.
I second.
Bill seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that motion passes. Okay, sell shirts. $5 over. And 120 each. Okay.
That's all I have.
Anything else, Jonathan?
That's all I have.
Jeez, what the heck?
I know.
God dang.
What I think is, since we're one meeting away from the event,
Yeah.
not including our special call meeting, it's important to at least have the motions on standby because it is forgotten about.
Okay. The holiday run, Judy, did you want to address anything there or?
Everything's now moving along. I've been going back and forth a lot with IO. I left my binder unfortunately back at the office and couldn't turn around and get it. We're already getting some sponsors. I've had some talks today for more sponsors. We are blasting my entire database in headquarter Toyota with the sign-up sheet. So I'm
Oh.
hoping that'll should go out tomorrow.
Oh,
As soon as it
great.
goes out, I'll send it to you guys, so
Perfect.
you know it's coming, so we can measure the lift that we get once that goes out. It's included in my email signature now. Which I send about 400 emails a day, so. What else is going on with the run?
I'll say, if I may interject, the minor leagues chamber has picked it up and started
Yes.
advertising it, which we really appreciate.
And she listed it with that run. thing.
Runguides.com.
Run guides, yeah.
Which it's a, a running database where people can see about runs and stuff like that. It's been lots of our social feeds. It's been getting a couple thousand views on our stories. With our respective amounts on Facebook and Twitter. And I've made sure to update with all the logos because I know we had
Oh, something that's not working right on when you get to the registration. At the beginning, it worked and you could click and get to the website, to Headquarters Trader's website. It doesn't work anymore.
okay. I'll run that by him.
It was working.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it just says Toyota. And they put Headquarters Toyota. I know the logo's below it, but it just says Toyota, kind of looks a little
And this is
funny.
on the registration list. Isn't it?
Yeah, once you get there, that's what's there. And is there a QR code
I have a QR code for the.
for the registration to send you to that same
Yes,
link?
I can send you that.
Please, yeah, that'd be great. Can you do it like in the morning?
I can do it.
Thank you. We're gonna meet tomorrow at work and my HR wants to walk around with the QR code. In the corner with it.
Larry had recommended, and we had discussed, it wasn't just Larry, I think there was a few people that had suggested perhaps using the monies to, as a veteran recognition thing by applying it to monuments or splash pad or something at the park versus giving it to an organization that deals with troubled veterans, homeless veterans, wounded veterans. So the town, the communications director felt that it should be geared towards veterans that have at risk rather than a park type thing. The elected officials highlighted that that was a decision for the Veterans Committee to propose to the town council. So it was the decision lies with town council, not staff. So they said, if you want to do something different than providing to at-risk or veterans in need, and you want to do something with a park project, then we need to go in front of town council to pitch that. So I don't know if we need to decide that this evening, but if we want to do a park project, we have to do that sooner rather than later, because I believe, how is the run being billed now, Judy? Is it being billed as for veterans, does it have
says for
some?
a veteran, it says to benefit the veterans is what it
Okay.
says. It's very vague.
Oh,
on the
okay, deliberately,
registration list. Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
All right, so
So to benefit veterans, that's it.
I mean, we have, the big advocate for that was Larry, he's
Right.
not here. But, in deference to our friend that wanted to do that, is that worthy of discussion? I had told Larry that I had felt that would be better served perhaps given to veterans at risk. And then if we're going to develop the park, we're going to need to do that with the full support of the town and the Parks Department. So that would be something we could realize perhaps down the road, rather than kind of the last minute trying to decide that, we're going to donate money to a park or donate it to a veterans group. Having said that, the elected officials at the council meeting said, without going into any of the specifics of what we're trying to do, that we could approach council with a variety of options. All, one way, all capital improvement, all veterans at risk, or divvy the money up and give some towards a capital improvement project, a parks project down the road, and some to a veterans group. So,
I've been approached by some gentlemen at the 9/11 ceremony, and they are some local group of guys that are doing some veteran benefit, that some in need services. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. Two guys, they had business cards.
Julio Garcia,
Could have been.
tall fellow, heavy set,
Yeah,
that's one, Julio Garcia.
but he said they were here, they're local doing,
Well, he's a commander of the United States Coast Guard.
okay.
Well, he's the Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla
Auxiliary,
Commander on Okalaka.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I was He said he was local, and he gave me his card, I have it somewhere, I need to find it.
But
They do an annual thing for veterans where they feed them, and they fill the hangar up with tables.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big deal that they do over at the Coast Guard station.
We did it for 3,500 people.
I was there, we were
Yeah.
there with Dave, doing that a couple years
That's when
ago.
I met you.
Yeah.
I had around the holidays, I had gotten a basket dropped off at my house. And I thought, at first I thought it was poison and something, because I said, did anybody, Amazon or whatever? And it wasn't. And it was a bunch of food. It was like a turkey. It had stuffing, and then it had, some like socks, those tets, when you have like varicose veins and
Compression
yeah,
stockings.
compression stockings, and it had like a yo-yo and
Should have had the right address.
yeah, and so I didn't know where it came from. I never knew, and then I found out talking to somebody, Ken Cheeseborough. You guys know Kent Cheeseborough. He's works with the veterans groups. He got my name on a list of veterans and had sent it to me. I said, I really appreciated it. I mean, I didn't know where it came from, and it was kind of a simple thing, but I said, wow, it's actually kind of nice. Yeah, it was nice. I mean, I appreciate it. And so I wrote him saying, hey, I don't know, if you need help sponsoring that kind of thing, but that was really neat. Only to find out that he's moved to another position. So I don't know if he's, I haven't gotten back from him, but I thought that was one maybe. And then these were a couple that were mentioned by Isle that are on this list on D, Judy's run.
Which
It's-
Larry asked us to not do,
What?
to not go through it
That was
into
it.
the.
Well, yeah, we don't have to vote on it, but I mean, it's something that we have to address
Yeah.
because that we have to identify where we're gonna spend the money. And so
Because we have to go back to the council.
we have to go to the
And they
council.
have to approve them, right?
Basically, we're approved currently to give it to veterans in need. So we don't need their approval to give it to the groups that are mentioned here.
Okay,
But if we are going to decide to give it to a park project, then we would need to go to council and say,
okay.
we would like to divvy the money in these proportions or whatever. So really, the question is, if we're gonna go to with a park project, we need to go to town council and propose that in lieu of what's been approved previously, which was addressing veterans in need.
And we don't have any type of legitimate registry of veterans in Miami Lakes,
Gary has it.
a real
Gary has it. Gary
vetted,
has a list of about 250.
wow.
Gary has it.
And why can't we just do something direct like that?
I have a November the
Like what,
12th.
Judy?
That's like what Larry wants us to do, like here in Miami Lakes.
So it would combine what Larry wants to do, which was address the needs of local veterans rather than go,
Right.
far. And, but what would we do? We have something in mind?
I need to know better on what the needs are and what the condition of the majority of the 250 people are. If they're just, if I need to, maybe we just give them all a gift card so they can spend more money at the holidays because everybody's struggling right now.
That's a great idea.
That's not a bad
Let
idea.
them have a little help.
Yeah,
So I have a guy that stepped in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a list. You can give me 30 names, veterans, and we'll be able to get some hot meals November the 12th.
oh,
He's giving 360 meals. He does that every year.
yeah.
He gives it right.
Is that something we could donate money to, or? is he-
No, you don't have to donate money. He pays for Steps in the Right Direction. It's a non-profit organization. Michael Salad. He's with me on the affair committee.
But I'm saying with, with what Judy was saying, is that something we could donate money to? I mean, they have, obviously, they
It's
take
funded up
donations.
We can do so, yes.
That's
this is
already
sponsored
funded up.
already.
Oh,
Already.
okay.
Actually, he already went with me. He paid
Oh, okay.
360 meals. We're gonna give it away up here and Home Depot, the shopping center. Home
Oh,
Depot.
really?
So he told me to ask if, I give Gary a list of 50,
Yeah,
so I can give you, you can give me 30 names.
okay.
Or they can go and pick it up. And maybe if you cannot do it, then we'll deliver it to them.
Okay.
Okay.
So what do you guys think? We're the ones that we have to make up our minds. And I don't know, Jonathan, I know that previously Isle said we needed some expectation to get this done sooner rather than later, but I'm guessing as long as we're not advertising for something specific and we're saying to benefit veterans, we could probably get away with putting it off.
One more meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that way, Larry will be here to address his thoughts and.
And since we have this list of 230 or 230, how many veterans are in?
300, no, I don't know, Gary has it, I don't know how many, I think he has 250, I don't know if they're all from Miami-Dade. But I know he has a big list,
Okay,
yeah, he keeps it.
Yeah, he probably gets that from the
He keeps
American Legion.
everything on right.
He probably gets that from the American Legion, who probably gets.
Yeah,
it from
remember,
the
to
VA.
be a member of the American Legion, the requirements that you have to be a veteran with an honorable discharge.
okay. Jonathan, is there anything you can do to help make sure that this is a direction we can even explore?
Yeah, that's the thing. Exploring, I don't think should be a problem.
Well, I
Find out
don't,
information.
so
I need
like,
to find information on.
yeah, just let us know if it's okay to even go that way, because otherwise we're gonna have to come up with a new idea.
And then so it would be the part of the capital improvement fund, which they're saying, we could hold money over and little by little kind of build it up. If it's not a use or lose at the end of the year. So that would be one consideration. And then the other one with these organizations that are mentioned here, much like Fishing with America's Finest, they're dedicated to helping veterans in need, and they're already established NGOs that we could consider giving our monies to them as well. And then on that same note, I received an email from, which maybe some of you guys received, from somebody that works with hospice. And she said that she's got a number of veterans. They have over 100 veterans that are in the hospice circuit. And she said that many of them want to live at home. They don't want to go to a hospice center. And they're asking for help because the medical aspects of their care will provide for nursing, will provide for somebody to change bandages, but it doesn't necessarily provide for somebody to come and do lawn work, somebody to go shopping, somebody to do some of this. So this was written by a physician at the VA who's taking care of one as an example. And the physician writes, hello, I have a patient whose husband is a veteran at the VA. Both the husband and the wife are disabled and need help with housework and meal prep. It's not in good, the home is not in good shape, and I've seen some bugs. I've asked the homemaker services, but they tell me that's not an option. Is there any assistance from the VA for this type of request? The patient is not a vet, but the husband is and has the same needs. So I don't know if that's something, I think when many of us, when we joined this committee, we thought we were going to be helping, homeless veterans, giving out meals, cutting grass, doing, food drives, and we end up, being event planners. I think, we're probably all a little bit disappointed that
We have been helping before with the same with this guy,
Yeah.
the actuary,
Mhm.
and then Gary was involved with it, okay, and
Yeah.
we had to go into many people. Actually, we pick up people from the streets,
Yeah.
some veterans, downtown, and take it, but they would take them to the houses,
Mhm.
and we help them, but they don't like it, so they go back.
Mm. And I want to apologize first because I diminished our role as event planners, because really, I think what we've done is
I
really
think they're
quite,
important events.
I think it's very important. It honors veterans and it provides some, an ability to kind of connect the community with veterans. So, to say that it's not that big a deal, it just, really, I was saying it in light of the fact that, hands-on help has been
We
lacking.
have at the VA, Shane Suzuki,
Yeah.
as a volunteer, he's one of the cases, he helps a lot.
All right,
He's really
so,
helping.
I make a motion then that we just put this off until the next meeting, which will be in
Okay.
November.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
The Arbor Day brick that was completed for Mr. Hummel,
okay.
the
They've all
landscaping
been painted the same.
is all painted the same color. The Veterans Park has been, the signage, I think you guys saw that, it looked
Looks
fantastic.
nice.
The, our 2023 budget for 19,000 was
Cut.
approved, and then disapproved. And so that's been cut. My understanding, maybe you can verify that, Jonathan, is that we went back to the previous level of 15.5, is that correct?
Whatever it was for.
The year before.
21, 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So we asked for 19, we asked for 20,000 and we were given 15,000. So, I mean, we'll obviously,
It's just that no committee got their
yeah.
increase.
Nobody got-
approved.
Yeah, they did a great job at the town, Mr. Peterman and the elected officials in reducing the millage rate so that the people could get a bit of a tax break rather than get an increase or keep it the same. So, and I think, well, it doesn't really matter. So that's the end result was that we are not getting the money we thought we were getting. And then,
Flag reimbursement.
yeah, the flag reimbursement, Jonathan, where are we at for that?
With respect to hearing, correct?
Yeah.
I was hoping to hand out the check.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right.
Wow, that's the first check I've ever seen. I forgot mine at the house, back at the store.
Look, yeah, listen, if you want it, I got
Are
one.
you?
You guys are presenting a check next week, correct?
I give it to
No,
Gary.
no, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
I
heard
have to
about
bring
it. Then
another
somebody
one
mentioned
for the
that passing the big
Okay.
ceremonial check, but I'm not.
Just
gonna-
so I get tomorrow.
I also sent you an invite, you and Mary both were going.
No. I didn't.
What's
I
that?
can't
To
make it.
the,
I
to
know I'm
the
gonna be out of
presentation?
town.
We're gonna
I
give it a
got,
check.
I got an email on that.
You did, good.
Yeah.
You going?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
planned it.
Everybody's invited to go to the council meeting on Tuesday.
Next
Yeah,
Thursday.
Judy's giving the
The
ceremonial
big check.
check for
Good,
that.
yeah.
And so,
Yeah, I was hoping Gary would be here, but yeah, he's traveling.
No, he'll be.
but that's kind of you, thank you. And so, yeah, I guess the uniform would preferably be our veterans
Oh,
shirts.
yeah.
Because there'll be a, picture for the town later.
Although I have to go on the one.
Yeah.
I would go.
Yeah, I guess. All right, committee shirts are ready for distribution. You got yours, Nicole? Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
And then are we, I think everybody's got one now, right? I think. I wanted to highlight this attendance rule, the committee rule. Some rules that are more, I mean, all the rules are important, but this one is, a strict rule, which is if you miss 3 meetings in a year, unless it was medical, meaning you're sick, your family member's sick, you're attending with somebody else who's sick, then it would be counted as unexcused. And after 3 meetings, it used to say may be removed, but now it says will be removed.
Do you guys want to clarify some things about?
I was trying to do it, so I don't want to put you on the spot because I can talk to you, but reference the Grand Marshal nomination.
I gave you my opinion.
Yeah, and you,
I wouldn't do it.
okay, but that's what I just wanted to clarify. I think already had a sense that we should not do it, but we were told you will not do it. And we said, I think the recommendation would be you shouldn't do it, but we're not telling you no, because there's no statute that says you cannot do it. You could, but it would be ill-advised.
It would,
Be very ill-advised.
Yeah.
But so I think we can trust the committee to make the right decision without, for like getting us into an area where now somebody's saying, where'd you pull that rule from? And why is that not being applied equally? And who said, you can't do it?
Okay.
Show me the regulation, the statute, the committee rule.
well, you asked your attorney said no.
Yeah.
If you guys are deciding one thing, it's gonna go up to the council. The council's gonna ask the attorney for an opinion. We're gonna give it.
Yeah. I mean, our sense was that we shouldn't, but we're just kind of backstopping,
Yeah.
and we want to have something other than, the recommendation would be don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
But you asked me for something else. That's what I came by.
Clarity on the negotiable, non-negotiable.
No, we were talking about budget items.
Okay.
And we had, you might remember the resolution was made to hand the veterans parade off to the veterans, although the budget was retained by the communications department.
I think it was because there's certain events that are inside your resolution that are part of you. And I think at one point, the parade might not have been part of your events that were. Right.
Yeah.
I think it might even have been, and I may be speaking, might have been part of cultural affairs, I think at one point.
Well, that's what was thought,
So-
although Neil Robinson said he, not to his knowledge.
No, I think it was part of their resolution, so it was switched to your resolution. So you guys are heading the event, spearheading it for the town of Miami Lakes.
Yeah.
So there's certain items I think you presented in the budget that they're considered non-negotiable because they're items that have to take place. You need verification, the police, and those are the prices for it. And then there's other funds that are, so it's just for sense of clarity. He's explained to you what the items are, what you can.
But in other words, of items that are non-negotiable, we don't need to vote on because they're
No.
non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So
And that was our point.
because what I was given from Clarisol was a list of things that were functionally non-negotiable.
Okay.
That we carry over from last year.
So that's it. They're non-negotiable.
Which
They're moving
includes,
forward.
which includes things like, car decals.
Right. So the committee really doesn't have any discretion to choose one or the other because you gotta have those.
Okay, but we have them.
So that makes them non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So we don't
Now-
need to vote on it.
What I was suggesting to them is that if there's anything else that you guys need that's outside of the budget,
Hmm.
I ask you and urge you I have to, stay in your budget, you know,
Yeah.
but if you can and it goes over, I mean, then just figure that out tonight so that you have enough time to go to the council on Tuesday and ask them if you need to move monies.
Mhm.
That would be my suggestion.
Okay, sounds good. And thank you. I didn't realize you were here and then I couldn't.
I'm
take
always
the-
here.
Okay. great.
Thank you, sir. Bye, guys.
So let's
Yes,
see you Wednesday?
I think so. Next Wednesday, no?
Yes.
Yes.
And then, so we're almost at the end. Officer Amador, I know you've been sitting there very, very patiently. Do you have anything to add with regard to the parade?
Hello, everyone. I love being here. This is actually one of my favorite committees.
You hide over here, huh?
I did.
It's always that.
I was at Honor Guard training today, so we're doing a flag post and stuff, so it was nice. Just that,
And I'm sorry, your role, because not everybody knows, you specifically, you come to the meetings, not just because you enjoy our company, but you're actually our community affairs or community liaison, or
Yes,
what is
yes.
the title?
yes, yes. Community Services Officer.
Okay.
So, yeah, so the liaison between basically you guys and the police and
Okay, but that, is it the committees or it's just the public in general? And this is
the
an
public in
additional.
general, and this is one of the functions
Okay.
to come to the committees.
Okay.
And you know, so any questions that you guys have to, you know, not only on behalf of whatever's happening at that moment, but you know, just in general, like the Lock It or Lose It campaign that we have now. Again, you know, reminder, lock your cars, you know, everybody know lock their cars because they're not being broken into, they're just being opened.
Hmm.
So everybody, oh, they're breaking into the cars. They're not actually breaking the cars. They're just pulling the cars,
Mm.
right? They shouldn't. And nobody should be going to anybody's cars, but it's a big difference,
Mm.
right? From some, you know, punk kid
Mm.
pulling a car and saying,
Going
"Ah,"
around finding unlocked cars.
or I'm gonna break the car, and that's not what's happening. They're not doing that.
Okay.
So, you know, it's young kids that are just going to the car. So if it's locked, 99.9% of the time, it's not gonna be messed up.
Mm.
So we can, you know, mitigate that. And that we're working on having comfort dogs for the department too at the parade.
Oh,
Because that's like one of those
Right.
things where that's
Yeah.
around now, so.
Yeah.
And people absolutely love, everybody loves dogs,
Yeah.
right? So have them
And then when they're
there.
called comfort dogs. it's
Yeah.
Even more.
Right, right.
Yeah, okay.
I asked about the cars and the way that they came in and the whole thing.
Oh,
And I haven't gotten a concrete answer on why that occurred yet.
okay.
But
Because we could, however you guys want to do it, and this is reference the themed cars that the police have. They have a veterans car, an autism car, they have, there's a couple of other, you know, the cars that have, they're all painted and they have a theme to them. So they have a number of those. And last year we had dispersed them throughout the parade. But at the end, when they arrived, they all wanted to go together. So it caused some confusion because we had sent them to the back and now they were kind of coming in. So we said this year, we asked Officer Amador, who's kind of the liaison. However you guys want to do it, it's fine. Just, you know, please let us know. So that was what he was referring to. Okay. That it, or, yeah, that's it. Okay. Thank
You
you.
waited for that?
No, so going then back to the,
Enjoys listening.
going back to the attendance. The attendance is in a calendar year, not a fiscal year. Yeah, so, and you're allowed 3. Oh, but I'm sorry, if I could just finish.
The lady,
If I could just finish, used to be with the attendance, it would say may and could, may be removed, could be removed. But now the language has changed and it says will automatically be removed. So if you have an older version, I think actually the version that's online and the YouTube video is dated. The new version that was done earlier this year, it says will be removed. So there is no discretion, like, oh, you know, so if you're gonna not be here, just send a note and tell Jonathan that.
That,
And HIPAA was the other thing was HIPAA. You don't have to reveal what you have going on specifically. Just say, I'm dealing with a medical issue and that's enough.
right, that's what I asked, is that,
Yeah.
that's what I asked, and I appreciate you bringing that
Yeah.
up. It's in the committee rules, this isn't, I am asking for a favor, but it's in the rules that if you're not gonna be here, it has to be, you have to let me know. Because it doesn't do you guys favors, it actually kind of does you a disservice, when you just let Michael know, because, you know, I have to know so I can update.
Everything I send to you, I send to him.
Well, the hope would be that I would forward it to
Well,
John.
I've never missed your presence in a meeting. so-
No, but everything
Right.
when I
That's-
respond to you, I always respond.
And I know we had some issues with, there was, Mr. Paya's, certain emails not working.
Right.
I just need to be made aware of these things because, Mr. Pial was,
Yes.
the so-called victim of this, where the minutes in April didn't have his name on it. I had, of course, I wasn't the liaison in April, but, we couldn't go off of
Right.
anything concrete. Once we looked at the video and we saw he was there, it was a lot easier. Yeah, if there's any absences, just let me know. Just because I don't want you guys to be unceremoniously kicked off or getting the message from
Down to 2 people.
Yeah, that's rough. So
Okay.
that's what I asked.
Thank you, Jonathan. Was there anything else on with regard to the meeting? Judy is giving the big check on Tuesday, so that would be the next time we'll meet. And then on the 17th, we're meeting for Judy's subcommittee run on the run. And that's the 17th.
That's
of
when I bring the
October,
wine.
which is a Monday, right?
It's a Monday, it's late, it's like at 8
Oh.
or 8:30.
Yeah, Monday the 17th,
When is that?
Tuesday the 18th.
Okay.
And then our next meeting won't be until, right
8:30.
before
Well, we will need a special call for after
Oh. the
the
17th.
grand marshal nominations
Yeah.
close, because we have to select the grand marshal.
The grand marshal nominations close on the 17th of October. And then shortly thereafter, we need to vote so that we can notify the grand marshal
Right.
that they're gonna be.
And
Yeah.
the special call meeting has to happen. It's just, I'll
Can we do it that day that Judy has her meeting?
I'll have to figure out the availability.
Because we're all gonna be here anyway, so.
Everybody's coming on 8:30 on the 17th. Could you see if it's possible?
Yeah.
I
That
can
way
see
we
it's
can all
possible,
meet,
but
but we're all gonna be here, so instead of having to do 2 meetings.
Yeah.
I
We
can
just
see,
find
I
out
can
that
definitely see if
meeting.
it's possible. I just need to run it trial.
Yeah.
She,
Is it 8:30?
Yeah, it's at 8:30
She's
on Monday.
Yeah, so
she's
we can
the
do
real
it.
call behind this.
And yours is relatively short, or is it gonna be a long meeting?
I started building the agenda. I don't think it's gonna be that long. There's some few things to clean up. We do need to talk about MC and honorees and,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
all right. Do you think it might be a 45 minutes?
probably, yeah. I can
Right.
keep it down.
Okay,
Yep.
so if we are all there for that, then we can roll it right into the special call meeting and then vote on the grand marshal.
Yeah.
I'll write that down and
Yeah.
I'll know if that's,
That would be good.
because that would be.
All right.
Or we can do yours first so that the people don't need to be here for the whole thing. If they don't
Oh,
want to be.
okay.
And then
Yeah, all right,
find out details.
yeah, all right. Sounds good.
I'll finish building the agenda, see if we need to vote, because if I'm gonna come up with, I don't think I have stuff to vote. I think I have another month, we can get your vote done
Oh,
for the
okay.
parade first,
Okay.
sooner and,
Yeah,
yeah.
If you'd like, I can send you all the link to submit grand marshal
Yeah.
nominations, because
Yeah.
just having one option hasn't served us very well, I would say.
so then
Everybody right now is
without,
running for office.
without further ado, I think we've
Big
addressed
ones
all
that
the
we
issues we
don't
needed to
want.
address, yeah.
Motion that we adjourn?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Thank you.
So motion's been made to adjourn, seconded by Nicole, all in favor? At 8:25, we've adjourned.
Talking about the stars and everything.